speculation, through mental speculation, even the greatest philosopher cannot know the Supreme Lord, who is the absolute personality of Godhead. He can be known only by his devotees through his mercy. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that even if a non-devotee philosopher travels through the space at the speed of the wind or the mind for hundreds of millions of years, he will still find that the absolute truth is far, far away from him. The Brahma Samhita 5.37 further describes that the absolute personality of Godhead has his transcendental abode known as Golaka, where he remains and engages in his pastimes. Yet, by his inconceivable potency, he can simultaneously reach every part of his creative energy. In the Vishnu Purana, his potencies are compared to the heat and light that emanate from a fire. Although situated in one place, a fire can distribute its light and heat for some distance. Similarly, the absolute personality of Godhead, although fixed in his transcendental abode, can diffuse his different energies everywhere. Although his energies are innumerable, they can be divided into three personal categories: the internal potency, the marginal potency, and the external potency. There are hundreds and millions of subheadings to each of these categories. The dominating demigods who are empowered to control and administer such natural phenomena as air, light, and rain are all classified within the marginal potency of the absolute person. Lesser living beings, including humans, also belong to the Lord's marginal potency. The material world is the creation of the Lord's external potency, and the spiritual sky, where the kingdom of God is situated, is the manifestation of his internal potency. Thus, the different energies of the Lord are present everywhere. Although the Lord and his energies are non different, one should not mistake these energies for the supreme truth. Nor should one wrongly consider that the Supreme Lord is distributed everywhere impersonally, or that he loses his personal existence. Men are accustomed to reach conclusions according to their capacity for understanding. But the Supreme Lord is not subjected to our limited capacity for understanding. It is for this reason that the Upanishads warn us that no one can approach the Lord by his own limited potency. In the Bhagavad Gita 10.2, the Lord says that not even the great rishis and suras can know him. And what to speak of the asuras, for whom there is no question of understanding the ways of the Lord. This fourth mantra of Sri Isopanisad very clearly suggests that the absolute truth is ultimately the absolute person. Otherwise, there would have been no need to mention so many details in support of his personal features. Although the individual parts and parcels of the Lord's potencies have all the symptoms of the Lord himself, they have limited spheres of activity and are therefore all limited. The parts and parcels are never equal to the whole. Therefore, they cannot appreciate the Lord's full potential. Under the influence of the material nature, foolish and ignorant living beings, who are but parts and parcels of the Lord, try to conjecture about the Lord's transcendental position. Sri Ishopanishad warns of the futility of trying to establish the identity of the Lord through mental speculations. One should try to learn of the transcendence from the Lord himself, the supreme source of the Vedas, for the Lord alone has full knowledge of the transcendence. Every part and parcel of the complete whole is endowed with some particular energy to act according to the Lord's will. When the part and parcel living entity forgets his particular activities under the Lord's will, he is considered to be in Maya, illusion. Thus, from the very beginning of Sri Ishopanishad, warns us to be very careful to play the part designated for us by the Lord. This does not mean that the individual soul has no initiative of his own. Because he is part and parcel of the Lord, he must partake of the initiative of the Lord as well. When a person properly utilizes his initiative or active nature with intelligence, understanding that everything is the Lord's potency, he can revive his original consciousness, which was lost due to association with Maya, the external energy. All power is obtained from the Lord. Therefore, each particular power must be utilized to execute the will of the Lord and not otherwise. The Lord can be known by one who has adopted such a submissive service attitude. Perfect knowledge means knowing the Lord in all his features, knowing his potencies, and knowing how these potencies work by his will. These matters are described by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita, the essence of all Upanishads. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare. Oh. So today we are starting the second section, the spiritual vision of understanding Isha. Text number 4 to 8. So here we are going to learn about the nature of Supreme Lord. That who is that Lord? Who is controller, proprietor of everything? So that is explained in this verse. So what is Krishna's position? Who cannot know Krishna, and why can't one know him? And how we can know him? So this is the bullet points of today's discussion. So mainly Prabhupada is now teaching us Krishna's creation. That how Lord has, with his different energies, he has control over this entire creation. So his internal energy, Antaranga Shakti, where the Lord and all his incarnations, they come in that category. And what Lord has created separately, that is called as a Bahiranga Shakti. So in Bahiranga Shakti, this material world is involved. And the third potency of the Lord is Tatastha, the marginal potency. So in that, the jivas are put into. So these jivas, if they know Krishna, then they can enter in the internal potency of the Lord. They can enter in the abode of the Lord, and they can stay with the Lord, and they can serve the Lord. But if they remain stubborn and they want to lord over, then for such a person, the Lord has given them material creation, that is Bahiranga Shakti. So in that way, the choice is given to the living entities, those who are in marginal potency. So by this Isha Upanishad, we are going to learn that how it is beneficial to understand Supreme Lord, and we should surrender to him so that we can reach to his abode. So last second verse we learned, by devotional service one doesn't get bound to this external energy. By doing devotional service one can enter in the abode of the Lord. So what is that abode? What is the potency of the Lord? His internal potency, and what the devotees do there with him, that has been elaborately explained in the verse of Srimad Bhagavatam 12th canto 7 to 11. केचिद्वेणून् वादयन्तोऽध्यात्मशृङ्गनिकेतन् केचिद्भृङ्गे प्रगायन्त कूजन्त कोकिले परे विच्छायाभिप्रधावन्तो गच्छन्त साधुहंसके बकेरूपविशन्तश्च नृत्यन्तश्च कलापिभिः विकर्षन्त किशबाला नारोहन्त ते द्रुमान् विकुर्वन्त ते साकं प्लवन्तं पल्लाशिषु साकं भैके विलङ्घन्त सरितास्रवसम्प्लुता विहसन्त प्रतीच्छाया शपन्त प्रतिस्वनान् इत्थं सतां ब्रह्मसुखानुभूत्या दास्यं गतानां परदैवतेन मायाश्रितानां नरदारकेन साकं विचूष कृतपुण्यपुञ्जा. Yes, somebody can read the translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. May I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes.
Hare Krishna. All the boys would be differently engaged. Some boys blow their flutes and other blow bongles made of horn. Some imitate the buzzing of the bumblebees and other imitate the voice of the chikus. Some boys imitated flying birds by running after the bird shadow on the ground. Some imitated the beautiful movements and attractive postures of the swan. Some sat down with the ducks, sitting silently, and others imitate the dance of the peacocks. Some boys attracted young monkeys in the trees. Some jumped into the trees, imitating the monkeys. Some made faces as monkeys were astonished to do, and others from jumped from one bench to another. Some boys went to the waterfall and crossed over the river, jumping with the frogs. And when they saw their own reflection on water, they would laugh. They would also condemn the sound of their own echoes. In this way, all the cowherd boys used to play with Krishna, who is the source of the Brahman effulgence of Gnan is described to merge into that effulgence, who is the supreme personality of the Godhead for for devotees who has accepted eternal servitorship and who for ordinary person is better but not another ordinary child. The cowherd boy, having accumulating the result of pious activities for many lives, were able to associated in this way with the supreme personality of Godhead. How can one explain their great fortune? Hare Krishna.
So here, how the Lord is perceived by different category of people, that has been explained. So the first 4 verses, they describe what the associates of the Lord in spiritual world they do. The living entities who are in the spiritual world, how they are reciprocating with the Supreme Lord. That has been described in first 4 verses. And the last verse, it describes how the Gyanis, they perceive the Supreme Lord as a Brahman effulgence. And the non-devotees who are not believers, they think him as an ordinary person. But devotees, they understand him as a Paradaivat. He is the all in all, Supreme Personality of Godhead for devotees. How they can understand this? Because they have rendered devotional service for many lifetimes, so that they got this fortune. Kruta Punya Punja. Punja means, it's accumulation. What accumulation is? Punya. This punya is not a material punya, which we have, ordinary world we see. The punya which takes us to heavenly planets, that punya we are not talking about. But this is a pious activities which are done for pleasure of the Lord or his devotee. That is Sukruti. Our devotional service, the bhakti. When we accumulate by watering tulsi, offering bhoga to Lord, serving prasad to devotees, like that, when we practice devotional service for many lifetimes, then one gets this fortune to be with the Lord, in person. So this way one has to understand the supremacy of the Lord. By understanding Lord in reality, in totality, then one's action will be, they will change. When we know that our destination should be spiritual world, then our actions will be in line to that destination. if somebody wants to stay in material world, then his actions are different. The boy who wants to take admission in IIT, how he starts preparing his preparation, it starts from 5th standard only. So they are taught in certain way, and the boys who want to take admission in some local college or some, they will not study, and they will not, for them the exams don't bother. So like that, the practice of a devotee is totally different than the ordinary people. Ordinary people are busy with sense gratification, but devotees, they utilize their time in Krishna's service. So, how one can understand Supreme Lord? That is the next question. So here, Brahma Samhita, it is explained that Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavita Abhistabirev Nija Rupataya Kalabhi Golok Eva Nivasati Akhilatma Bhuta Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bachami. Yes, somebody can read.
Prabhuji, can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the aesthetic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities, in the company of her confidants, Sakhis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permitted and visualized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa. Hare Krishna.
So this is a vision a devotee gets. Although he is in material world, but he is practicing spirituality, so he gets this divine vision to understand Supreme Lord through scriptures and from the mouth of pure devotee. So if suppose some villager is there, he is in his village only, and he is working in his village only. So for him, the village is the world. But suppose somebody comes from different country, and he tells that villager that there is another country where roads are very beautiful, where you can earn more. Then by hearing from that person, this villager also will develop attraction towards that place, and then he will prepare passport, he will prepare for his visa, and then he will be shifted to that place. So same way, if you want to go back to Godhead, if we don't want to remain in material world, then we must hear about Supreme Lord from the bona fide devotees. From their mouth, when we hear about the spiritual world, then there will be an inquisitiveness in our heart, and we will develop the desire to go to the spiritual world. And how is the spiritual world that has been described already here? न मे विदुः सुरगणा प्रभवान महर्ष अहमादि देवाना महर्षिणाम च सर्वथा. So Lord is very difficult to understand, even for the demigods and to great sages. So we should not think the knowledge about God is available for everyone. No. This knowledge about the Supreme Lord, it comes through the devotees. They only describe us about the Supreme Lord. By just becoming demigod, even demigods are in their own enjoyments, they are happy with it. They hardly feel the longing for Supreme Personality of Godhead. So like that, if we really want to long to go back to Godhead, then we have to hear from the dedicated devotees of the Supreme Lord. So this is verse from Brahma Samhita. Pantha sukoti shatavastra sampragamyo vayo rathapi manaso munipungavana sopyasti yatra padasinya avichinta tatve govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Did?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, if I could read.
Yes.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayama by drilling their respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane extending over thousands of millions of years. Hare Krishna.
So even great yogis, they cannot understand Supreme Lord. Then what to speak about the ordinary mundane people who are busy with material sense gratification? They are far away from this understanding. So we are very fortunate, by the mercy of devotees, we are getting to know Supreme Lord in totality. Not we are just stuck up at Brahman, not we are just elevated to Paramatma, but we are elevated to the Bhagwan relation, by the mercy of devotees. So that opportunity is given to us. So this way, the Lord, whom ordinarily is very difficult to understand, but he is available by the mercy of devotees to us. So this way, in this verse, we learn that how Lord is unsurpassable in all respects, and how we can understand the Lord by developing service attitude. And by developing this service attitude, one's intelligence is awakened, and that way one can understand that one is stuck up in this material world, and by the pure devotees association, one can know Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then one can plan his activities such a way that he can reach to that abode of the Supreme Lord. So now next verse we will go. तज्जेति तन्नेजति तद्दूरे तदन्तिके तदन्तरस्य सर्वस्य तदु सर्वस्य बाह्यता. The Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. He is far away, but is very near as well. He is within everything, and yet he is outside of everything. Yes.
Can I read?
Yes.
Here is a description of some of the Supreme Lord's transcendental activities executed by his inconceivable potencies. The contradictions given here prove that inconceivable potencies of the Lord. He walks and he does not walk. Ordinarily, if someone can walk, it is illogical to say he cannot walk. But in reference to God, such a contradiction simply serves to indicate his inconceivable power. With our limited fund of knowledge, we cannot accommodate such contradictions, and therefore we conceive of the Lord in terms of our limited powers of understanding. For example, the impersonalist philosophers of the Mayavada school accept only the Lord's impersonal activities and reject his personal feature. But the members of Bhagavata school, adopting the perfect conception of the Lord, accept his inconceivable potencies and thus understand that he is both personal and impersonal. The Bhagavatas know that without inconceivable potencies, there can be no meaning to the words Supreme Lord. We should not take it for granted that because we cannot see God with our eyes, the Lord has no personal existence. Sri Isopanisad refutes this argument by declaring that the Lord is far away but very near also. The abode of the Lord is beyond the material sky, and we have no means to measure even this material sky. If the material sky extends so far, then what to speak of the spiritual sky, which is altogether beyond it? That the spiritual sky is situated far, far away from the material universe is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 15.6. But despite the Lord's being so far away, he cannot at once, within less than a second, descend before us with a speed swifter than that of the mind or wind. He can also run so swiftly that no one can surpass him. This has already been described in the previous verse. Yet, when the personality of Godhead comes before us, we neglect him. Such foolish negligence is condemned by the Lord in Bhagavad Gita 9.11, where he says that the foolish deride him, considering him a mortal being. He is not a mortal being, nor does he come before us with a body produced by material nature. There are many so-called scholars who contend that Lord descends in a body made of matter, just like an ordinary living being, not knowing his inconceivable power. Such foolish men place the Lord on an equal level with ordinary men. Because he is full of inconceivable potencies, God can accept our service through any sort of medium, and he can convert his different potencies according to his own will. Non-believers argue either that the Lord cannot incarnate himself at all, or that he descends in a form of material energy. These arguments are nullified if we accept the existence of the Lord's inconceivable potencies. Then we will understand that even if the Lord appears before us in the form of material energy, it is quite possible for him to convert his energy into spiritual energy. Since the source of the energies is one and the same, the energies can be utilized according to the will of their source. For example, the Lord can appear in the form of the Archa Vigraha, a deity supposedly made of earth, stone, or wood. Deity forms, although engraved from wood, stone, or other matter, are not idols, as the iconoclasts contend. In our present state of imperfect material existence, we cannot see the Supreme Lord due to the imperfect vision. Yet, those devotees who want to see him by means of material vision are favored by the Lord, who appears in a so-called material form to accept his devotees' service. One should not think that such devotees who are in the lowest stage of devotional service are worshipping an idol. They are factually worshipping the Lord, who has agreed to appear before them in an approachable way. Nor is the archa form fashioned according to the whims of the worshipper. This form is eternally existent with all paraphernalia. This can be actually felt by the sincere devotee, but not by an atheist. In the Bhagavad Gita 4.11, the Lord says that how he treats his devotee depends on the devotee's degree of surrender. The Lord reserves the right not to reveal himself to anyone and everyone, but to show himself only to those souls who surrender unto him. Thus, for the surrendered soul, he is always within reach, whereas for the unsurrendered soul, he is far, far away and cannot be approached. In this condition, two words are revealed. In this connection, two words, the revealed scriptures often apply to the Lord. Saguna, with qualities, and Nirguna, without qualities, are very important. The word Saguna does not imply that when the Lord appears with perceivable qualities, he must take on a material form and be subject to the laws of material nature. For him, there is no difference between the material and spiritual energies. Because he is the source of all energies, as the controller of all energies, he cannot at any time be under their influence as we are. The material energy works according to his direction. Therefore, he can use that energy for his purpose without ever being influenced by any of the qualities of that energy. In this sense, he is nirguna, without qualities. Nor does the Lord become a formless entity at any time. For ultimately, he is the eternal form, the primeval Lord. His impersonal aspect or Brahman effulgence is but the glow of his personal rays, just as the sun rays are the glow of the sun god. When the child saint Prahlada Maharaj was in the presence of his atheist father, his father asked him, "Where is your God?" When Prahlada replied that God resides everywhere, the father angrily asked whether his God was within one of the pillars in the palace. And the child said yes. At once the atheist king shattered the pillar in front of him to pieces, and the Lord instantly appeared as Narasimha, the half man, half lion incarnation, and killed the atheist king. Thus, the Lord is within everything and he creates everything by his different energies. Through his inconceivable powers, he can appear at any place in order to favor his sincere devotee. Lord Narasimha appeared from within a pillar not by the order of the atheist king, but by the wish of his devotee Prahlad. An atheist cannot order the Lord to appear, but the Lord will appear anywhere and everywhere to show mercy to his devotee. The Bhagavad Gita 4.8 similarly states that the Lord appears in order to vanquish non-believers and protect believers. Of course, the Lord has sufficient energies and agents who can vanquish atheists, but it pleases him to personally favor a devotee. Therefore, he descends. Sorry, Prabhuji, I got disconnected.
Yes. Now you are connected.
From where should I start, Prabhuji?
He descends.
Okay, therefore, he descends as an incarnation. Actually, he descends only to favor his devotees and not for any other purpose. In the Brahma Samhita 5.35, it is said that Govinda, the primeval Lord, enters everything in his plenary portion. He enters the universe as well as all the atoms of the universe. He is outside in his Virat form and he is within everything as Antaryami. As Antaryami, he witnesses everything that is going on and he awards us the results of our actions as karma phala. We ourselves may forget what we have done in previous lives, but because the Lord witnesses our actions, the results of our actions are always there and we have to undergo the reactions nonetheless. The fact is that there is nothing but God within and without. Everything is manifestation of his different energies, like the heat and light emanating from the fire. And in this way, there is a oneness among his diverse energies. Although there is oneness, however, the Lord in his personal form still enjoys unlimitedly all the pleasures enjoyed minutely by the tiny part and parcel living entities. Hare Krishna.
So, in this verse, we are learning the nature of the Supreme Lord. He is inconceivable. So, last verse, we saw that he is supremely independent, and in this verse, we learn how the Lord is inconceivable. So, our brain has a power to conceive things and to understand the things. And if our brain can accommodate Supreme, then our brain will become Supreme. But being we being a tiny living entity, our brain has no capacity to understand the supremacy of the Lord in conditioned state. Because being associated to material world for so many lifetimes, our mind, our brain has become very narrow. It has its own limitations. To accommodate Supreme Lord in such a narrow-minded person that he wants to understand Supreme Lord with his terminology. The Lord has to fulfill his criteria, and that way he wants to analyze Supreme Lord. Such a person cannot understand Supreme Lord, even if he has the best of minds, best of intelligence. He cannot understand Supreme Lord for not only his whole life, but such a millions of lives. He cannot understand the inconceivable Lord. To understand such an inconceivable Lord, we have to understand that I am very limited. My understanding is very limited. With my tiny understanding, I cannot understand Supreme Lord. This much humility one has to develop. Then only one can understand. So Lord will have the power to act in such a way that his actions will be beyond our logic, beyond our mental analysis. We will be totally bewildered. So that is supremacy of the Lord. So he will express, he will produce such a contradiction that which we cannot, our mind cannot, our brain cannot accommodate. So what contradictions Lord will exhibit? So here the description about Supreme Lord is given, that he walks and he doesn't walk. So like when we are traveling, suppose the moon is walking with us. We are running with 80 kilometer per mile, 80 kilometer, still the moon or sun will be with us. But for us, the moon may appear stationary or sun may appear stationary. But although we think that they are stationary, but still they are moving. So same way, Lord may appear walking, but he may not be walking. Sometimes Lord is very near and he will be very far away. Lord is there in every atom and he is out of the material cosmos also. So these are the contradictions which Lord will have. So Lord is reservoir of all contradictions. Then only he can be Supreme Lord. So who can understand this contradiction? So foolish people cannot understand. They will think the Lord is an ordinary human being. And they will conceive his form as a material. They will see his form with their relativity. And that way, they cannot understand Supreme Lord. So here the example is given about Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu. So Hiranyakashipu represents the atheist. He is the epitome of all bad qualities he has. So how his vision, he is not able to see the Supreme Lord because of his imperfect vision. On the other hand, his son Prahlad, he is so devoted that he is able to see Supreme Lord. So the main criteria to understand Supreme Lord is one's surrender. So when Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad, "Where is your Lord?" Prahlad said, "My Lord is everywhere." Then Hiranyakashipu said, "Is he in pillar?" Because when the palace is constructed, that time he knows this pillar was, in front of him, the pillar was established. So he knows what is there in pillar. So Prahlad said, "Yes, my Lord is there in pillar." And Hiranyakashipu was convinced that the Lord will not be there in pillar, because the pillar was, for his eyes, the pillar was the pillar, for him. But when he tried to destroy the pillar, and from that pillar Supreme Lord appeared. So why Lord appeared? Because it is pronounced by Prahlad that my Lord is in pillar. Just to fulfill the words of his devotee, the Lord appeared from that pillar. So like that, for materialistic people, the deities in the temple, they appear to them as a stone. So their vision is materialistic vision. So they see it as a stone. But when one is anointed, one's eyes are anointed with premanjana with bhakti vilochini. When person's eyes are anointed with devotion, then he will not see the deity as a stone, but he will see him as a supreme personality. So that consciousness, is of pure devotee, and materialistic person's consciousness is material. So the Lord whom nobody can understand is very easily understandable to his devotee. So all here the contradiction mentioned, that Lord walks but he doesn't walk, he is very far but he is very near, and he is within and he is without. These all things for devotees is very easy to understand. The contradiction is mentioned here. He walks and he doesn't walk. So how devotees can understand? Because of these contradictions, he is Supreme Lord. And Lord is both person and imperson. And he is inconsistent. So Lord is in spiritual world, Goloka Vinistic. But he is although in spiritual world, but he is also available for his devotees within their heart. Surda Sarvabhutana. The Lord is there in everybody's heart. Annantarastha Paramanuchayant. He is there in every atom. So like that, we can see the all contradictions are resolved when we see Supreme Lord with a devotion. Otherwise, these contradictions are confusing when we have a material outlook to see the Supreme Lord. Not only material outlook, but even one has an outlook of transcendentalist, impersonal transcendentalist. They also cannot accommodate this nature of the Supreme Lord. For them also, the Lord is Nirgun, Nirakar, and they'll feel like that. He's a Brahman. So they cannot go beyond the effulgence of the Lord. But pure devotees, because they have eyes of devotion, they can see the Supreme Lord, and by the mercy of such a devotees, we can also perceive the real nature of Supreme Lord. So in this verse, it is described why pure devotees they move around in this world. Janasya Krishna Nimukasya Daivat Adharmashilasya Sudikritasya Anugrahaye Charanti Nunam Bhutani Bhavyani Janardanasya. Yes.
Shall I read, Prabhuji?
Yes.
O my Lord, great philanthropic souls travel on the earth on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to show compassion to the fallen souls who are averse to the sense of subordination to the Lord. Hare Krishna.
So the people who have become Vimukh, means they have turned away their faces from Krishna. And because they have turned away their face from the Supreme Lord, what their lifestyle is? Adharmashilasya. They are living life of impiety. They are living life of irreligiosity. And because they are living life of irreligiosity, they are suffering. Deeply they are suffering. No? So such a people who have turned away their faces and they are living a life of a animalistic way, and because of that they are very, very miserable. To shower mercy upon them, the pure devotees, they move around to turn their faces towards Supreme Lord. And that benefit is called as an anugraha. That is their greatest compassion. So the inconceivable Lord can be conceivable if we pay attention to the oral reception of the devotees and the Supreme Lord. Then that way, that is the right method, by which we can understand Lord in totality. Otherwise, people will stuck up at the relation of Brahman. Even on the path of transcendentalists, people will stuck up at the path of, at the level of Brahman or at the level of Paramatma. But only by pure but devotee's mercy, we can understand Krishna in totality as a Bhagwan. So that inconceivable Lord will be conceivable. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmanevranupashyati sarvabhuteshu chatmanam tatano vijugupsite. He who systematically sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, who sees all living entities as his parts and parcels, and who sees the Supreme Lord within everything, never hates anything or any being.
Shall I do it, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Oh, but this is a description of the Mahabhagavata, the great personality who sees everything in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord's presence is realized in 3 stages. The Kanishtadhikari is in the lowest stage of realization. He goes to a place of worship, such as a temple, church, or mosque, according to his religious faith, and worships there according to scriptural injunctions. Devotees in this stage consider the Lord to be present at the place of worship and nowhere else. They cannot ascertain who is in what position in devotional service, nor they tell who has realized the Supreme Lord. Such devotees follow the routine formulas and sometimes quarrel among themselves, considering one type of devotion better than another. These Kanishta Adhikaris are actually materialistic devotees who are simply trying to transcend the material boundary to reach the spiritual plane. Those who have attained the second stage of realizations are called Madhyamadhikaris. These devotees observe the distinction between 4 categories of being: the Supreme Lord, the devotees of the Lord, the innocent who have no knowledge of the Lord, and the atheists who have no faith in the Lord and hate those in devotional service. The Madhyamadhikari behaves differently toward these 4 classes of person. He adores the Lord, considering him the object of love. He makes friends with those who are in devotional service. He tries to awaken the dormant love of God in the hearts of the innocent, and he avoids the atheists who deride the very name of the Lord. Above the Madhyamadhikari is the Uttamadhikari, who sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord. Such a devotee does not discriminate between an atheist and a theist, but sees everyone as part and parcel of God. He knows that there is no essential difference between a vastly learned Brahmana and a dog in the street, because both of them are part and parcel of the Lord, although they are engaged in different bodies on account of the different qualities of their activities in their previous lives. He sees that the Brahmana particle of the Supreme Lord has not misused his little independence given him by the Lord, and that the dog particle has misused his independence and is therefore being punished by the laws of nature by being encaged in the form of a dog. Not considering the respective actions of the Brahmana and the dog, the Uttamadhikari tries to do good to both. Such a learned devotee is not misled by material bodies, but is attracted by the spiritual spark within them. Those who imitate an Uttamadhikari by flaunting a sense of oneness or fellowship, but who behave on the bodily platform, are actually false philanthropists. The conception of universal brotherhood must be learned from an Uttamadhikari and not from a foolish person who does not properly understand the individual soul or the Supreme's Lord Supersoul expansion who dwells everywhere. It is clearly mentioned in the sixth mantra that one should observe or systematically see. This means that one must follow the previous acharyas, the perfected teachers. Anupashyati is the exact Sanskrit word used in this connection. Anu means to follow and Pashyati means to observe. Thus, the word Anupashyati means that one should not see things as he does with the naked eye, but should follow the previous acharyas. Due to material defects, the naked eye cannot see anything properly. One cannot see properly unless one has heard from a superior source, and the highest source is the Vedic wisdom, which is spoken by the Lord Himself. Vedic truths are coming in the disciplic successions from the Lord to Brahma, from Brahma to Narada, from Narada to Vyasa, and from Vyasa to many of his disciples. Formerly, there was no need to record the messages of the Vedas because people in early ages were more intelligent and had sharper memories. They could follow the instructions simply by hearing once from the mouth of a bona fide spiritual master. At present, there are many commentaries on the revealed scriptures, but most of them are not in the line of disciplic succession coming from Srila Vyasadeva, who originally compiled the Vedic wisdom. The final, most perfect and sublime work by Srila Vyasadeva is Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the natural commentary of the Vedanta Sutra. There is also the Bhagavad Gita, which was spoken by the Lord Himself and recorded by Vyasadeva. These are the most important revealed scriptures, and any commentary that contradicts the principles of the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam is unauthorized. There is a complete agreement among the Upanishads, Vedanta Sutra, Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam, and no one should try to reach any conclusion about the Vedas without receiving instructions from the members of Vyasadeva's disciplic succession, who believe in the personality of Godhead and his diverse energies as they are explained in Sri Isopanisad. According to the Bhagavad Gita 18.54, only one who is already on the liberated platform, Brahma Bhuta, can become an Uttama Adhikari devotee and see every living being as his own brother. This vision cannot be had by politicians who are always after some material gain. One who imitates the symptoms of an Uttamadhikari may serve another's outward body for the purpose of fame or material reward, but he does not serve the spirit soul. Such an imitator can have no information of the spiritual world. The Uttamadhikari sees the spirit soul within the material body and serves him as a spirit. Thus, the material aspect is automatically served. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, you are in mute.
Hare Krishna. So in this verse, we are going to learn how to see God everywhere. So from verse 6 to 8, we'll learn the vision of Mahabharata. So in mantra 5, we described quality of the Lord, And in 6th, we saw that how such a Lord who is inconceivable can be understood by devotion. So now in this verse, how spiritually advanced devotee, he sees Lord and all the things in relation with that Supreme Lord. And that vision we should try to follow. So many times what we see may not be sufficient. Seeing is not just sufficient. Like when our vehicles break down and then we take our vehicle to garage, and the mechanic comes there. He opens the bonnet. So he is looking at the engine and everything. And we are also looking at it. So both of us are looking at the thing, the engine and all wirings, whatever it is. But is there any difference between our seeing and that person's seeing? So there is a difference. Although we are seeing everything, but we are not understanding where is the problem. So he is looking at it and he knows what problem he has to solve. So like that, many phases in our life, like we know particular language and some other book comes with different language, although we open that book, we may are able to see all alphabets, words, lines, paragraphs, but we will not understand anything because we are not acquainted with the language. So although we are seeing, we are not able to understand. Suppose our leg got fractured, then they make an X-ray. We look at the X-ray and a doctor looks at the X-ray. Although we are looking at X-ray, but we are not able to make out, we are not able to understand anything. But the doctor, he can understand what happened. So like that, many times seeing is not sufficient. Or for that matter, hearing also is not sufficient. So unless until we don't have knowledge, our seeing, our hearing, this all will be, it will be insufficient. So now our seeing, our hearing, our relations, they differ according to our level of consciousness. So in spiritual life, how devotees advance and their seeing and their actions, they will be, totally different. So by this, we can categorize devotees. Because of their actions, their behavior, and their grasping power, and their, consciousness. So what is Mahabhagat consciousness is explained in this Bhagavad Gita. Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasyam na pranashyami sachamena pranashyati. Yes.
For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never nor is he ever lost to me.
So, pure devotees, they see Lord in their all phases of life, in day-to-day life, you know. So, such devotees are not lost. So, these three categories of devotees are mentioned here. One is Kanishta, second is Madhyam, and third is Uttam. So, how to develop that? So, we have to avoid certain things and we have to accept certain things. So, what is Kanishthadhikari's, mindset? It is lowest, He believes only God in temple. He believes Lord is only in deity. So, and he cannot ascertain others' advanced positions. He thinks he is only advanced. So he feels that I am touching deity, I am decorating deity, I am in close proximity with the Supreme Lord, and he feels others are, insignificant. So he has such a attitude, and because he thinks only deity as a, God in deity, he just engages in deity worship, routine services, but he doesn't go well with others, And what to speak about materialistic people? So like that, this is a narrowness, narrow mindset this person has, this devotee has. So he is called as a Kanishta. So Madhyamadhikari, he is little elevated. He distinguishes Supreme Lord. He distinguishes devotees. He distinguishes innocent people, and he distinguishes atheists. So what is his attitude towards Supreme Lord? Prem. He develops love for Supreme Lord. And with devotees, what is his attitude? Maitri. He develops friendship. And with innocent people, he has daya. He has a merciful attitude towards the innocent. And for atheist, he has upeksha. He avoids it. So here, Kanishta is thinking only that I am supreme devotee of the Lord, and I know Lord in complete, and he thinks all other people are ignorant, and he just doesn't value them. So that attitude is very low. But here the Madhyamadhikari is little advanced. Yes, he believes in Supreme Lord. He offers respect to the deities. But along with the Lord, he also loves the devotees. He doesn't quarrel with the devotees. He loves with devotees. He makes friendship with them. And not only satisfied with the Lord or with devotees, but he has a merciful heart to give Krishna consciousness to others. So he becomes, preacher. He becomes a preacher. He goes and tries to give Krishna to others, those who are innocent. And he keeps distance from the people who are going to drag him to materialism. From such a people, he keeps a distance. He avoids such people. So that is second stage. And what is third stage in this category of devotees? The Uttamadhikari. So Uttamadhikari is exactly opposite to Kanishta. Kanishthadhikari thinks I am greatest devotee. But Uttamadhikari thinks I am the lowest You know, I am not a devotee also. And for Uttamadhikari, all living entities, he sees them in connection with the Supreme Lord. So he respects everyone. You know, even atheists, animals, even poisonous animals, for everybody, he has the attitude of respect. Because he sees everybody in connection with the Lord. So he doesn't discriminate anybody. He loves everyone. You know, Kanishtadhikari, he thinks that I am greatest devotee and these people are fallen. But Uttamadhikari thinks these all people are devotees. I am only fallen. You know. So he is such a, you know, great and humble Vaishnava that he cannot see others as a non-devotees. He sees everyone in relation with the Supreme Lord. So that is greatness of Uttamadhikari. So this way they see the Lord. You know. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is these devotees are categorized based upon their convictions and their faith. You know, how much spiritual knowledge they have and what a faith level. So with these two levels, these three categories are categorized. श्रद्धावान जन है भक्ति अधिकारी उत्तम मध्यम कनिष्ठ श्रद्धा अनुसारी. Yes.
May I read, Prabhuji?
Yes. Yes.
A faithful devotee is truly eligible candidate for the loving service of the Lord. According to one's faith, one is classified as a topmost devotee, an intermediate devotee, and an inferior devotee. Hare Krishna.
So these are the categories of devotees. शास्त्र युक्त सुनी पुनः दृढ़ श्रद्धा यार उत्तम अधिकारी से ही तारे संसार. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
One who is expert in logic, argument, and the revealed scriptures, and who has firm faith in Krishna, is classified as a topmost devotee. He can deliver the whole world. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So Uttamadhikari is expert, you know, in scriptural understanding, and he has a firm faith. Even atheists, if they come in touch with him, he has enough potency to destroy their, ignorance and turn them into devotees. Like Prabhupada, he went to such a places where people were ignorant about, Krishna consciousness. But by his lectures and by his writings, people have read it and they became devotees. Now this is a category of Madhyamadhikari. Shastra yukti nahi jane drudha श्रद्धावान मध्यमाधिकारी से ही महाभाग्यवान. Yes.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes.
One who is not very expert in argument and logic based on the revealed scriptures, but who has firm faith is considered a second-class devotee. He also must be considered most fortunate.
So here, this Madhyamadhikari may not convince atheist people, but at least atheist people will not able to convince him. So he will not be lost with materialistic people's association to materialism, because he has a firm faith in scriptures and his faith is Shraddhavan. His faith is very solid. So he may not empower, faith in others, but his faith nobody can destroy. So that person is called as second class. यह कोमल श्रद्धा ये से कनिष्ठ जान क्रमिक ते हो भक्त है वे उत्तम. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, may I read?
Yes.
One whose faith is soft and pliable is called a neophyte, but by gradually following the process, he will rise to the platform of a first class devotee. Hare Krishna.
So these people are very seasonal, They just practice because they like. And later on, if something comes in their life, crisis or some other atheist people, they come and they argue with him. So he is not able to convince them, but rather sometimes he gets convinced by them and he loses the path of devotion. So such a person is called as Komal Shraddha. He has very, soft faith. But such a person, if he associates with pure devotees, and in their association he learns scriptures nicely, then he can become first class devotee. So this way, even on the path of spirituality, the people are categorized depending upon their faith, their conviction in scriptures, and their ability to give Krishna consciousness to others. So that's why the advanced devotees, they can see Krishna in all phases of their life. For them, there is no segregation of material life or spiritual life. Their life is spiritual life only. There is no material life in their life. Such a pure devotees are glorified. So now, how to become, advanced in such a understanding? It has been explained in the 6th verse. यस्मिन् सर्वाणि भूतानि आत्मैव भूविजानथ तत्र को मोहः शोकः एकवत्वम् अनुपश्यत. One who is always sees all living entities as spiritual sparks, in quality one with the Lord, becomes a true knower of things. What then can be illusion or anxiety for him? Yes.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Except for the Madhyam Adhikari and Uttam Adhikari discussed above, no one can correctly see the spiritual position of a living being. The living entities are qualitatively one with the Supreme Lord, just as the sparks of fire are qualitatively one with the fire. Yet sparks are not fire as far as quantity is concerned, for the quantity of heat and light present in the sparks is not equal to that in the fire. The Mahabhagavata, the great devotee, sees oneness in the sense that he sees everything as energy of the Supreme Lord. Since there is no difference between the energy and the energetic, there is a sense of oneness. Although from the analytical point of view, heat and light are different from fire, there is no meaning to the word fire without heat and light. In synthesis, therefore, heat, light, and fire are the same. In this mantra, the words Ekatvam Anupashyata indicate that one should see the unity of all living entities from the viewpoint of the revealed scriptures. The individual sparks of the supreme whole, the Lord, possess almost 80% of the known qualities of the whole, but they are not quantitatively equal to the Supreme Lord. These quantities are present in minute quantity, for the living entity is but a minute part and parcel of the supreme whole. To use another example, The quantity of salt present in a drop is never comparable to the quantity of salt present in the complete ocean. But the salt present in the drop is qualitatively equal in chemical composition to all the salt present in the ocean. If the individual living being were equal to the Supreme Lord both qualitatively and quantitatively, there would be no question of his being under the influence of material energy. In the previous mantras, it has been already discussed that no living being, not even the powerful demigods, can surpass the Supreme Being in any respect. Therefore, Ekatvam does not mean that living being is equal in all respects to the Supreme Lord. It does, however, indicate that in a broader sense there is one interest, just as in family the interest of all members is one, or in the nation the national interest is one. Although there are many different individual citizens, since the living entities are all members of the same supreme family, the interest and that of the supreme being are not different. Every living being is a son of the supreme being, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.5. All living creatures throughout the universe, including birds, reptiles, ants, aquatics, trees, and so on, are emanations of the marginal potency of Supreme Lord. Therefore, all of them belong to the same family of Supreme Being. There is no clash of interest. The spiritual entities are meant for enjoyment as stated in the Vedanta Sutra, Anandamaya Vyasata. By nature and constitution, every living being, including the Supreme Lord, and each of his parts and parcel is meant for eternal enjoyment. The living beings who are encased in the material tabernacle are constantly seeking enjoyment, but they are seeking it on the wrong platform. Apart from the material platform is the spiritual platform, where the Supreme Being enjoys himself with his innumerable associates. On that platform, there is no trace of material qualities, and therefore that platform is called Nirguna. On the Nirguna platform, there is never a clash over the object of enjoyment. Here is the material world. There is always a clash between different individual beings because here the proper center of enjoyment is missed. The real center of enjoyment is the Supreme Lord, who is the center of sublime and spiritual rasa dance. We are all meant to join him and enjoy life with one transcendental interest and without any clash. That is the highest platform of spiritual interest, and as soon as one realizes this perfect form of oneness, there can be no question of illusion, moha, or lamentations, shoka. A godless civilization arises from illusion, and a result of such civilization is lamentation. A godless civilization, such as that sponsored by the modern politicians, is always full of anxieties because it may be crushed at any moment. That is the law of nature. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.14, no one but those who surrender at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord can surpass the stringent laws of nature. Thus, if we wish to get rid of all sorts of illusion and anxiety, and we create unity out of all diverse interests, we must bring God into all our activities. The results of our activities must be used to serve the interest of the Lord and not for any other purpose. Only by serving the Lord's interest we can perceive the Atma Bhuta interest mentioned here. The Atma Bhuta interest mentioned in this mantra and the Brahma Bhuta interest mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 18.54 are one and the same. The Supreme Atma or the soul is the Lord Himself, and the minute Atma is the living entity. The Supreme Atma or Paramatma alone maintains all the individual minute beings, for the Supreme Lord wants to derive pleasure out of their affection. The Father extends himself through his children and maintains them in the order to derive pleasure. If the children obey the Father's will, family affairs will run smoothly, with one interest and a pleasing atmosphere. The same situation is transcendentally arranged in the absolute family of Parabrahman, the Supreme Spirit. The Parabrahman is as much as a person as the individual entities. Neither the Lord nor the living entities are impersonal. Such transcendental personalities are full of transcendental bliss, knowledge, and life eternal. That is the real position of spiritual existence, and as soon as one is fully cognizant of this transcendental position, he at once surrenders onto the lotus feet of Supreme Being Shri Krishna, but Supreme Being Shri Krishna. But such a Mahamantra or great soul is very rarely seen because such transcendental realization is achieved only after many and many births. Once it is attained, however, there is no longer any illusion or lamentation or the miseries of material existence or birth and death, which are all experienced in our present life. That is the information we get from this mantra of Shiv Upanishad. Hare Krishna.
So, in this mantra, we are going to learn qualities of oneness. So, what described in mantra 6, the Mahabhagavat, his vision, that is elaborated here. So, here the vision is classified in quality and quantity. So, in quality and interest, devotees are one with the Supreme Lord. But with regards to quantity, the Lord is Vibhu and living entity is Anu. He is a small, but Lord is supreme. So what is spiritual vision is? Oneness is. So there is no difference between living entity and the Supreme Lord. With what? With quality. Supreme Lord is Satchidananda Vigraha, and the living entities are also part and parcel of that Supreme Lord. So they also have these qualities. But quantity is different. Like one drop of ocean and the ocean, qualitatively the drop also will exhibit same, the drop also will exhibit same qualities, as the qualities of ocean. Like ocean is salty, so the drop also will be salty. But in terms of quantity, in ocean there will be big ships. They are floating. But in drop, what can be, what can be floated? The drop is very insignificant. It has no power. The same way, living entities are quantitatively, they are very limited. So when we make Lord's interest as our interest, then our existence has a spiritual quality. Like father, he has many sons, and if those sons who cooperate with him, those sons are in line with him, those sons inherit the property of father, because they have made the father's interest as their interest. But there are some rebellious sons, and they do some naughty things. They get caught by police and they are put in the jail. So such a people will not get, they will not inherit, because they are not in true interest with the father's interest. So such a way, the living entities who are in line with the desire of Supreme Lord, they are with the Lord in all situations of life. Although they may be in material world, but if their interest is with aligning with the Supreme Lord, they are not in material world. So, depending upon our inlining with the Lord, we come closer to Uttam Bhagavat level. So when we see other living entities in connection with the Lord, and when we have conviction in scriptures, such a devotees can turn others towards Krishna. Because Krishna is not going to force living entities to love him. And some living entities have turned away their faces from the Lord and they don't want to turn back to him. They are stubborn to remain in this world. And Lord is not going to force. So what is it? Here deadlock is there. That Lord is not going to force, and the living entity is stubborn to remain in material world. So then how these people can go back to Godhead? Anybody like to answer?
By the association of devotees.
Association
So,
of pure devotees.
yes. So pure devotees, they interfere in our independence. Our stubborn attitude to remain atheist and not surrender to Lord. This is changed by the association of pure devotee. Because pure devotees have made the Supreme Lord as their interest of their life. And they understand the Supreme Personality's heart, that Lord wants that these living entities come back to him. So they facilitate these living entities to turn towards Supreme Lord. So that way their interest and the interest of Supreme Lord is one. So in spiritual world also, all living entities, they have interest to serve Krishna. And because of this common interest, there is no conflict in spiritual world. Like when we have one center and there may be different radius you put in compass and you draw circles, they will not intersect. But you make a different centers, and whatever radius we may have, they will intersect. So that's why all devotees in spiritual world, they have common interests. That is interest of Lord's pleasure. So they live there happily. But in material world, every person is trying to make himself as a center. And that way they are not able to become happy. So once Bhishma Pitadmaha, he wanted to test the unity between Kauravas and Pandavas. So what he did, in one hall he put Kauravas and another hall he put Pandavas. And in those halls, there are piles of laddus are kept in big plates. Only condition was their hands were tied with sticks so that they could not bend their hands. With bamboo sticks, their hands were tied. And they were put in different halls. So after 1 hour they came in the hall of Kauravas. So they saw laddus were everywhere. On ceiling, on windows, on curtains, on floor, on their heads, on their cheeks, on their shoulders. but none of them could eat one laddu also. And then later on they went in the hall of Pandavas. There they saw Bhima is lying, he ate the laddu, plates are all clean. So what is the difference between these two places? Can anybody like to guess?
In Pandava's hall, one Pandava is feeding to other Pandava, Prabhuji.
And in Kauravas?
They were trying to eat themselves, so they couldn't eat them.
Here the attitude of non-devotees and attitude of devotees. So Kaurava was thinking that I should enjoy. I must enjoy. So they were trying on their own to enjoy, and in the attempt of enjoying, they are not able to enjoy the laddu. But in the hall of Pandavas, they respect others. They feel serving others is their interest. They see Yudhishthira Maharaj is the greatest devotee of the Lord. I should serve him. And Yudhishthira Maharaj also sees other devotees, other Pandavas as the devotees of the Lord. So he wants to serve. So there they have a service attitude, So that's why they all could get satisfied. And when people have selfish attitude to gratify their own senses, then they may be 100, they may be millions, they may be thousands, or lakhs or crores. They cannot be satisfied. So unless until we don't see others in connection with the Supreme Lord, we see ourselves as enjoyers, there will be no peace, no harmony, no basic satisfaction also. So we have to see that everybody is a child of Supreme Lord. So this vision is a spiritual vision. And that way one can respect others. If we don't develop this attitude, then there will be quarrel, there will be hypocrisy, there will be fight, there will be no happiness. So here in this verse, that how Krishna is supreme, that has been explained. Ete chansakala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vakalam Lokam Brudayanti Yuge Yuge. Yeah. Somebody can read?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can read from entity, na Prabhuji? Entity. The Supreme Atma, all Paramatma, alone maintains all the individual minute beings. For the Supreme Lord wants to derive pleasure out of their
Hare Krishna.
affection.
Hare Krishna. Sorry. This is this we have to read.
Yes. Ete चांचकला पुषम कृष्णस्तु भगवान स्वयं इंद्रा दिव्याकुलम लोकम मृडयंती युगे युगे. The four qualities, all attributes Vishnu or Narayana do not have in full that Krishna does have in full is as follows. First, Krishna is the performer of wonderful varieties of pastime, especially his childhood pastimes. Krishna is surrounded by devotees endowed with wonderful love of Godhead. Krishna can attract all living entities all over the universe by playing on his flute. Krishna has a wonderful excellence of beauty which cannot be rivaled anywhere in the creations.
So here the quantity wise, how we are not equal to Supreme Lord. For that matter, even Vishnu or Narayan, they are not equal to Supreme Lord, because they possess 60 qualities, but Lord Krishna has 64 qualities. And what are 4 extra qualities only Krishna has? He has Leela Madhuri. He has Venu Madhuri. And he has Bhakta Madhuri. So like that. And he has a Roop Madhuri. So these 4 qualities are extra in Krishna. He is very beautiful. He plays flute, and he is surrounded by his devotees, and he does lot of pastimes. So Jiva has 50 qualities. Shiva Tattva has 54 qualities. Vishnu Tattva has 60 qualities. But Lord Krishna has 64 qualities. So that's why by these qualities measurements, we are not equal to Supreme Lord anyway. So these are the qualities mentioned. So these after 50 qualities, up to Brahma, one can develop these qualities. And then qualities of Shiva and Vishnu are mentioned. And at the end, how Krishna is supreme with the qualities, 64 qualities. That has been mentioned here. So we have to achieve oneness not with the physically entering in Brahman. That oneness we don't want to achieve, but we want to achieve oneness in matter of interest. We want to surrender to Krishna. We don't want to have no material miseries, and we will be freed from illusion and lamentation, and we will be freed from birth and death. But if we reject the interest of serving Krishna, then such a godlike civilization will be just going to make us miserable. So what is advantage of practicing devotional service is mentioned in this verse. Yasyam vai shruyamanaya Krishne paramapurushe bhaktir utpadate pumsa shokamoha bhayapaha. Simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Person of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearlessness. So in this verse we saw that how the shok and bhaya is destroyed if we make Krishna of our life. So how can we make Krishna as interest of our life? When we hear about Supreme Lord, and by hearing, when our loving attitude develops, so such a person will be freed from shok, moh, and bhaya. That is lamentation, illusion, and fear. So the time has 3 phases: past, present, and future. So past is always gives us lamentation. We feel that, I didn't do that, I could have done that. So in general, people are lamenting about their past. And with present, people want to have more. This I want to have, that I want to have. So they become illusion to have more and more. And after accumulating more, the third phase of time, that is future. What that future awards them? Bhai, fear that I should not lose what I have earned. So that way the people in general, they're always tormented by shok, moh, bhai. But the devotees of the Lord who have made their interest, one with the Lord, they will be freed from this lamentation of past, illusion of present, or fear of future. Because they have nothing to lament. Brahmbhuta prasannatma no shoshiti na kankshati. The one who has made Krishna's interest, the one who has identified his servitude towards Krishna, he has nothing to lament in this world, or he has nothing to desire. Because if somebody has got Krishna in his life, then does he require anything else? No. Because Lord is all in all, and somebody has Lord, then what more one has to achieve? And if somebody has no Lord in their life, then what they have achieved? Nothing they have achieved. They may have achieved 3 worlds, but they have not achieved Krishna. Then what is the use of having those 3 worlds? And if somebody achieved devotion to Krishna, and Krishna is his, then he doesn't have to achieve anything in this world. He is satisfied with nothing because he has everything. That's devotion to Krishna. So this way one has to make Krishna as his interest. The bhakti devotional service as the interest. And with this interest, one can serve the Supreme Lord. And he will be relieved from the moha and illusion, lamentation. Okay. So we'll take next verse. Anybody has questions till now?
Sorry, Prabhu? What?
Anybody has questions?
Prabhuji, I have one question, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So in the previous slide, you had mentioned that, in terms of qualities, you said Krishna has 64 qualities which both Narayana and Vishnu does not have.
Yeah.
So Narayana and Vishnu, I thought, was always a unified form. I'm sorry if I'm asking a wrong question, but I thought they were always a unified form. Is Narayana and Vishnu totally different?
Narayan is one who is lying on the causal ocean, and Vishnu is Vaikuntha planets are there, where Lord is residing in Vaikunthas. So there are different names to Vishnu according to how he holds the Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. So the names are different.
Okay.
For him, the name is like Pradyumna, Padmana, like that. There are many names are there. So that is the category for Narayana and Vishnu. But Krishna has 4 more qualities, and he resides in the Golok.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So we'll go to next verse. Saparyaga Mastra Virashuddhamapapavitham Kavir Manishi Paribhu Swayambhu Yatha Tathyorthan Vedatha Shashvatibhya Samabhya. Such a person must actually know the greatest of all, the personality of Godhead, who is unembodied, omniscient, beyond reproach, without veins, pure and uncontaminated, the self-sufficient philosopher who has been fulfilling everyone's desire since time immemorial. Yes,
Can I read, Prabhu?
yes, sir.
Here is a description of the transcendental and eternal form of the absolute personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is not formless, he has his own transcendental form, which is not at all similar to the forms of mundane world. The forms of living entities in this world are embodied in material nature, and they work like an material machine. The anatomy of material body must have mechanical construction with veins and so forth. But the transcendental body of the Supreme Lord has nothing like veins. It is clearly stated here that he is unembodied, which means that there is no difference between his body and his soul. Nor is he forced to accept a body according to the laws of nature as we are. In materially conditioned life, the soul is different from the gross embodiment and subtle mind. For the Supreme Lord, however, there is never any such difference between him and his body and mind. He is complete whole, and his mind, body, and he himself are all one and the same. In the Brahma Samhita 5.1, there is a similar description of Supreme Lord. He is described there as Satchitananda Vigraha, which means that he is the eternal form fully representing transcendental existence, knowledge, and bliss. As such, he doesn't require separate body or mind as we do in material existence. The Vedic literature clearly states that the Lord's transcendental body is completely different from ours. Thus, he is sometimes described as formless. This means that he has no form like ours and that he is devoid of a form we can conceive of. In the Brahm Samhita 5.3.32, it is further stated that with each and every part of his body, he can do the work of the other senses. This means that the Lord can walk with his hands, accept things with his legs, see with his hands and feet, eat with his eyes, etc. In the Shruti mantras, it is also said that although the Lord has no hands and legs like ours, he has a different type of hands and legs by which he can accept all that we offer him and run faster than anyone. These points are confirmed in the 8th mantras through the use of words like Shukram, omnipotent. The, Lo- the Lord's worshipable form, Archa Vigraha, which is installed in temples by authorized acharyas who have realized the Lord in terms of mantra 7, in non-different from the original form of the Lord. The Lord's original form is that of Sri Krishna, and Sri Krishna expands himself into an unlimited number of forms, such as Baladeva, Rama, Narsimha, and Varaha. All of these forms are one and the same personality of Godhead. Similarly, the Archa Vigraha worshipped in temples is also an expanded form of the Lord. By worshipping the Archa Vigraha, one can at once approach the Lord who accepts the service of devotee by his omnipotent energy. The Archa Vigraha of Lord descends at the request of Acharyas, the holy teachers, and works exactly in the original way of Lord's by virtue of the Lord's omnipotence. Foolish people who have no knowledge of Isopanisad or any of the other Shruti mantras consider the Archa Vigraha, which is worshipped by pure devotees, to be made of material elements. This form may be seen as material by the imperfect eyes of foolish people or Kanishta Adhikaris, but such people do not know the Lord being omnipotent and omniscient can transform matters into spirit and spirits into matter as he desires. In the Bhagavad Gita 9.11-12, the Lord regrets the fallen conditions of men with little knowledge who describe him because he descends like a man into this world. Such poorly informed persons do not know the omnipotence of the Lord. Thus, the Lord doesn't manifest himself in full to the mental speculators. He can be appreciated only in proportion to one's surrender to him. The fallen condition of living entities is due entirely to forgetfulness of their relationship with God. In the mantras, as well as in many others Vedic mantras, it is clearly stated that Lord has been supplying goods to the living entities from time immemorial. A living being desires something, and the supplies the Lord supplies the object of that desire in proportion to one's qualification. If a man wants to be a high court judge, he must acquire not only the necessary qualification but also the consent of the authority who can award the title of high court judge. The qualification in themselves are not sufficient for one to occupy the post. It must be awarded by some superior authority. Similarly, the Lord awards enjoyment to living entities in proportion to their qualifications, but good qualification in themselves are not sufficient to enable one to receive awards. The mercy of Lord is also required. Ordinarily, the living being doesn't know what to ask from the Lord, nor which post to seek. When the living being comes to know his constitutional position, however, he asks to be accepted into the transcendental association of the Lord in order to render transcendental loving service unto him. Unfortunately, living beings under the influence of material nature ask for many other things, and they are described in the Bhagavad Gita 2.441 as having divided or split intelligence. Spiritual intelligence is one, but mundane intelligence is diverse. In Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.30-31, it is stated that those who are captivated by the temporary beauties of the external energy forget the real aim of life, which is to go back to Godhead. Forgetting this, one tries to adjust things by various plans and programs. But this is like chewing what has already been chewed. Nonetheless, the Lord is so kind that he allows the forgetful living entity to continue in this way without interference. Thus, this mantra of Sri Isopanisad use the very appropriate word yatha hant yata, indicating that Lord rewards the living entities just in pursuance of their desires. If a living being want to go to hell, the Lord allows him to do so without interference. And if he wants to go back home, back to Godhead, the Lord helps him. God God is described here as Paribhuha, the greatness of all. No one is greater than or equal to him. Other living beings are described here as beggars who ask goods from the Lord. The Lord supplies the things the living entities desires. If the entities were equal to the Lords in potency, if they were omnipotent and omniscient, there would be no question of their begging from the Lord. Even for so-called liberation, real liberation means going back to Godhead. Liberation as conceived of by an impersonalist is a myth, and begging for sense gratification has a to continue eternally unless the beggar comes to his spiritual senses and realizes his constitutional position. Only the Supreme Lord is self sufficient. When Lord Krishna appeared on earth 5,000 years ago, he displayed his full manifestation as the personality of Godhead through his various activities. In his childhood, he killed many powerful demons such as Agasura, Bakasura, and Saktasura, and there was no question of his having acquired such power through any extraneous endeavor. He lifted Govardhana hill without ever practicing weightlifting. He danced with gopis without social restriction and without reproach. Although the gopis approached him with the paramour feelings of love, the relationship between the gopis and Lord Krishna was worshipped even by Lord Chaitanya, who was a strict sannyasi and rigid follower of disciplinary regulations. To confirm that the Lord is always pure and uncontaminated, Shri Ishopanishad describes him as Sudam antiseptic, and apavidam prophylactic. He is antiseptic in the sense that even an impure thing can become purified just by touching him. The word prophylactic refers to the power of his association, as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 9.30-31. In the beginning, a devotee may appear to be suduracharya, not well behaved, but he should be accepted as pure because he is on the right path. This is due to the prophylactic nature of the Lord association. The Lord is also apapavidam because sin cannot touch him. Even if he acts in a way that appears to be sinful, such actions are all good, for there is no question of his being affected by sin. Because in all circumstances, he, Shuddham, most purified, he is often compared to the sun. The sun extracts moisture from many untouchable places on the earth, yet to remains pure. In fact, it purifies obnoxious things by virtue of its sterilizing power. If the sun, which is material object, is so powerful, then we can hardly begin to imagine the purifying strength of the all-powerful Lord. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So we saw in this section the spiritual vision of understanding Isha. The supremely independent Lord has inconceivable qualities and cannot be understood by our limited intelligence. That we saw in 4th and 5th verse, 5th mantra. And in 6th and 7th mantra, we understood then an advanced devotee develops an equal vision of seeing everything in relation to the Lord and seeing everyone qualitatively one with the Lord. And now in this verse, we are going to learn that such a pure devotee knows and attains the Lord who has divine qualities and who fulfills everyone's desire. So this 8th verse I will elaborate on Tuesday. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Guruji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.